Hello everyone and welcome back to more Umineko When They Cry. So I apologise, it has been a little while, but my mum recently had surgery and because of that I just wanted to be able to chill out and take some time to keep an eye on her and make sure she was okay. So I hope you guys don't mind, but I do remember that in the last video Maria read out a letter that was supposedly from Beatrice, the Golden Witch, as it were. And it proclaimed that she was going to take all of the money, all of their wealth, unless they could find the pile of gold, the 10, I think it was it 10 tons? Or a ton? It was a lot of gold, basically. And they have to find it, otherwise she's going to take everything from the Ushiromiya family. And so that's where we have been left now. The strange letter that the witch had entrusted to Maria wiped all memories of dinner from our minds. Maria was repeatedly barraged with questions by Aunt Rosa and the other parents, and became increasingly ill-tempered when they refused to believe her. If we kids tried to butt in, they'd probably ignore us. Our parents were all stirred up, firing back and forth about the gold and the distribution of the assets, and completely forgetting that we were even there. I'd already guessed they'd been talking like this in the shadows, but I hadn't thought they'd be so blunt. It gave all of us kids a considerable shock. From what we could overhear, all the parents wanted more money as soon as possible. Back and forth about grandfather's inheritance. Back and forth about the distribution of the gold if it was found. About advance payments in cash. It was so despicable I could hardly bear to watch, even though one of them was my father. It looked like Jessica felt the same way. We left our seats without being asked to, and went to hang out somewhere well away from our parents.
なるほどな。じいさまが飯の席にも顔を出したくない理由がよーくわかったよ。うちの親たちにはすっかり幻滅だぜ。金だの遺産だの。よくもまああそこまで大っぴらに。
I really like their kids. Their kids are so kind of like down to earth and just like joking about the inheritance, like the pile of gold and stuff like that. Like, I don't know, they don't seem to place too much importance on the wealth, and it's kind of nice coming from a rich family that they would be like that.
俺の場合はクソ親父に幻滅しきってるからよ。これ以上評価の下がりようがないぜ。
そんなの私だって同じだぜ。しかし今夜のには呆れたぜ。心底呆れたぜ。
Jessica looked down at the floor, irritated. She was always talking about how bad her parents were, but maybe she hadn't really felt that way deep inside. The depths of Jessica's shock made that clear.
未成年の君たちはご両親に養育してもらってるからわからないだろうけど、お金を得るというのは単純な綺麗事じゃないよ。未成年である今にそれを理解しろとは言わない。でもご両親なりに何かの努力をしていることだけは認めてあげてほしいな。
I suppose George is the one who's most likely to understand, considering he's sort of making his way into business now.
やれやれ。ジョージの兄貴は人間ができてるぜ。
ジョージ兄さんは社会人になってバリバリ働いてるけどよ。金とか財産とかそういう話になったらうちの親父たちみたいに強欲むき出しのハゲタカになれるってのかよ。
自分だけの話だったらそんなことはしたくないよ。でも家族や社員、部下やその家族の生活を背負ったら戦わなければならない時もあるかもしれない。
私はそんな戦い嫌だぜ。小さな遺産がどうのこうのなんて話、ヘドが出るぜ。
Jessica pretended to spit violently. That harsh reaction made the depths of her pain very clear.
もうこの話はやめようぜ。 じいさまの隠し黄金がどうのこうの、財産だ遺産だって話は親たちの問題で俺たちの問題じゃないさ。
僕も同感だよ。せめて気を利かせて親たちの話し合いを邪魔しないのが子供の務めだと思うね。
なんだか面白くねえぜ。
Everyone knows the phrase, adults are filthy. Do they? I didn't know that phrase. But we had now seen that for ourselves, and that really did give us a considerable shock. Georgianiki was now pretty much an adult, and I'd already been disillusioned with my dad, so the shock wasn't that big for us. But Jessica seemed to be taking it hard. Apparently, she'd received a bigger blow than I'd thought. She always talks badly about her parents, but it looks like she hadn't changed at all on the inside. Even now, she's still a pure-hearted, delicate person who can't doubt others. I'm sure she respected her parents as much as anyone else does. And then her parents started raging about, going, "Money, money, inheritance, inheritance, my money," right in front of all the other parents and the children. It's no surprise she received such a shock from hearing that. They're not even the ones that are worst off. Because, like it said, Kraus is poor, but he's not kind of in debt or anything like the rest of them seem to be.
ジェシカちゃん、どうかお父さんとお母さんのことを嫌いにならないで。理解しろとまでは言わないから、せめてどうか嫌いにならないであげて。
分かってるよ。少し放っておいてくれよ。
6 years ago, I would have kept taunting Jessica even after she got all dejected. But I guess I really have grown over the last 6 years. I realised it'd be better to leave Jessica alone right now. Jessica suddenly looked away sulkily and left the parlour. She probably wanted to be alone for a while. I could do nothing but wordlessly watch her back as she left.
そういえばマリアちゃんはどこに行ったんだろう。
Maria is like the last thing people think of. This is why she was standing in the rain for hours. Because nobody was like, "Oh, what about Maria?"
多分まだ肖像画の前でいじけてるんだろうぜ。
Maria truly looked up to witches, and she'd expected that coming in direct contact with Beatrice and receiving the letter as proof would surprise everyone and make them happy. However, the adults had doubted its authenticity, thoroughly bombarding Maria with questions and refusing to accept her story. Even for me, it wasn't hard to imagine how much that must have hurt Maria. We couldn't speak to Maria or Jessica. In the end, Georgianiki and I just abandoned ourselves to the sound of the falling rain in the dark night.
台風はどんな感じなんだろうね。ニュースをやってないかな。
Georgianiki started walking over to the corner of the parlour, where the television was. He hadn't called me over, and I really couldn't have cared less where the typhoon was on the sea now. So without going over to the television, I loitered around the window.
そんなに風は出てなさそうだけど、海の上はひどいのかしらね。天気予報では暴風警報も聞いてたんだけど。
Yeah, I don't think I'd really want to be on a boat in the middle of a typhoon.
キリエさんか。大人たちの積もる話はどんな感じなんすか？
I guess Kirie-san had enough of it as well. She seemed to catch the sarcasm. Kirie-san shrugged.
この胃の痛くなる話は徹夜で続くのかしら。嫌になるわ。
まあ、せいぜいよろしく。じいさまの財産分配についてハゲタカごっこをお楽しみくださいってんだ。最低の気分だぜ。
I feel like Kirie-san wouldn't be the kind of person to kind of be grabby about somebody else's fortune. I think she's probably more upset about the fact that Rudolph hid his financial troubles from her.
それに関しては同感よ。バトラ君みたいに席が外せるなら私もそうしたいわ。でもそうもいかない。たとえ発言権がなくてもね。パートナーも大変よ。
Kirie-san took a deep breath, smiling bitterly. That's right. They probably wouldn't let Kirie-san speak, since she only married into the family. Still, as Dad's partner, she had no choice but to stay by his side and support him. She's probably had to bear the full brunt of this mental pressure much more than me. I wasn't going to apologize, but realizing that I'd spoken too harshly, I cut the sarcasm for the time being.
どんな感じなんすか？相変わらず謎の魔女ベアトリーチェの話題で持ちきりですか？
まあね。あの人たちはおじい様が亡くなった時の遺産分配について兄弟4人で話をまとめようとずっと密約を重ねてきた。そこへ未知の5人目が現れて話をややこしくしようっていうんだから穏便な話なわけもないわ。互いを罵り合ったりかと思えば共闘しようってことになったり、夏日姉さんでなくても頭痛がしてくるところよ。
On the one hand, they all want a larger portion than the other siblings, so they're all rivals. But on the other hand, they don't want 1 yen to be snatched up by anyone other than the siblings, so they're all also allies. I hadn't been told the details, but the siblings were apparently discussing how to protect their shares under various situations, setting up ceasefire agreements and rules to prevent anyone from getting an unfair advantage, even preparing to resort to legal action if absolutely necessary. So they're all allies, but they're all pretty ready to sue each other, I guess. That they would go this far to preserve their shares was so beyond disgusting that you just had to acknowledge their resilience.
ってことは差し詰め。ベアトリーチェはじい様からの資格ってとこですかね。自分抜きで遺産の分配なんて話を勝手に進めてた息子たちに一泡吹かせたかったんだろうぜ。
何者かしらね、ベアトリーチェって。自称してることが全て本当なら今日まで誰にも知られずにいた謎の人物で、しかもおじい様の隠し黄金の存在を知っていて、その上当主の指輪まで委ねられている。相当に信頼された人物ね。
さすがにほうきにまたがった魔女だとは思わないっすけど、でも魔女と呼ぶに値する怪人物であることは間違いないっすね。
マリアちゃんがそのあたりのことを詳しく話してくれればいいのだけど、みんな小さい子にがっつきすぎだわ。すっかり怯えてしまって聞けるものも聞けなくなってしまった。あの人たち北風と太陽とか読んだことないのかしら。
Okay, I don't understand that reference, so if anybody would like to talk about it in the comments, that'd be very helpful.
確かなのはマリアがベアトリーチェと名乗る人物から手紙を受け取ったこと。自分で現れて直接話せばいいものを手紙を託して今もどこかに身を潜めているっていうシャイな怪人物ですけどね。
She clearly doesn't want to ruin the fun so soon. She wants them all to kind of squirm over what she said.
ねえバトラ君、ベアトリーチェなんて人物が本当にいると思う？
Yes, I believe somewhere in the world that a person called Beatrice probably exists.
さあ、あくまでも偽名じゃないっすかね。
No, not really.
じい様の代理人としてその妄想の中の魔女の名を名乗ることを許されたとか。
そうじゃなくて、今このロッケン島には全部で18人いるの。19人目が存在すると思う？
Are there really a full 18 people on this island right now? Wondering about that, I began counting on my fingers, and it really did come out to that many.
19人目が存在すると思うってどういう意味ですか？
言葉通りの意味よ。マリアちゃんに傘を貸した人物は私たち18人の中にはいないらしい。なら19人目がいて、その人物がマリアちゃんに傘を貸したと思うのが妥当じゃないの？
I don't think it's that unbelievable a thing. I mean, it would be pretty simple for Kinzo to invite another person who he deemed trustworthy. I mean, it's not only the Ushiromiya family that are allowed on the island, because the doctor, Nanjo, he's not an official member, but he is still allowed here, so I guess it depends on Kinzo.
まあ、そうなりますね。
ならその人物は今どこにいるの？少なくとも雨が降り出した瞬間には島にいた。となれば、その人物はまだ島の中にいて、どこかで雨宿りをしていなくてはならない。私たち誰の目にも触れずね。
確かに。俺たちは屋敷やゲストハウスの中を勝手にうろつき回ってましたが、誰も19人目なんかには会ってないわけですよね。でもまあ、これだけの広さのある島ですし。
Well, she is the witch of the forest, and none of them go in there, so it would be simple to assume that she might be there.
屋敷やゲストハウス以外に雨宿りできるところだってあるのかも。
At about this time, I began to realize what direction Kirie-san's suspicions were taking us in. Kirie-san was denying that a 19th person existed. Beatrice was one of us 18. In other words, she thought someone we knew well was tricking us.
ベアトリーチェが自称する通りなら、その人物は間違いなく最高の賓客よ。おじい様が信頼する最高の腹心。そんな人物をおじい様が歓待しないわけがない。お屋敷に迎え入れないわけはないのよ。でも私たちは誰も見ていない。
Well, I would say that none of the siblings would be somebody that he would trust that much. If what she's saying is true and it's actually one of the 18, I would say it would probably be one of the servants. Probably Genji dressing up as a woman, as we mentioned previously.
待ってくださいよ。それはちょいと性急な推理じゃないですか。確かに誰の目にも触れてはいないけれど、だからって19人目を否定することにはならないんじゃないですか。何かの理由があってこっそり上陸してずっと隠れているのかも。悪魔の証明ってやつっすよ。いることを証明するのはたやすい。ベアトリーチェってやつが俺たちの前に現れて挨拶すりゃ解決する。でも19人目がいないことを証明するのは不可能っすよ。
Schrodinger's Beatrice, apparently.
バトラ君の推理の仕方は悪くないわ。現在の状況では19人目の存在を認めるにも否定するにも情報が足りない。でもね、チェス盤をひっくり返して考えると、ほぼ19人目はありえないって断言できちゃうのよ。
Spin the chessboard around was one of Kirie-san's favourite phrases. I've been influenced by those words and use them myself from time to time. When you get stuck trying to find a move in chess or shogi, then by spinning the board around and looking at everything from your opponent's standpoint, you can often see a strategy that will give you the upper hand. So looking at things from a different angle, basically. It means turning things around and putting yourself in your opponent's shoes.
いい？仮に19人目の人物としてベアトリーチェが実在したとして、その人物は誰にも知られることなくこっそりとこの島に上陸し、ずっと隠れていた。何かの理由があってね。ならどうしてわざわざ姿を現してマリアちゃんに手紙を渡したの？
It really was a contradiction. If they had some reason for hiding themselves, then they should have stayed hidden the whole time. But even so, they had appeared openly in front of Maria.
それはほら、マリアも言ってた。メッセンジャーにされたって言ってたじゃないですか。マリアが一番年下で素直そうだったからじゃ。
I don't see why Maria would hide who it was if it was somebody that she knew from before, so like a servant or somebody from the family. I feel like she would have just outright said that it was whoever had given her the umbrella.
メッセンジャーなんて必要なの？手紙を親族会議の席上に送りたかったら郵送すればいいだけの話よ。4人の兄弟全員に郵送すれば黙殺することもできない。手紙を持参してこっそり手渡す理由がないのよ。
確かになんだかおかしな話っすね。
そもそもベアトリーチェが存在していて、その存在をアピールしたいならみんなの前に堂々と姿を現せばいいだけの話なのに、現れずマリアちゃんという小さな子を通しておぼろげな輪郭だけでその存在を主張しようとする曖昧さ、矛盾。もっと考えて。マリアちゃんの前に姿を現し19人目の存在を印象づけるという点と、にもか今この瞬間も私たちの前に姿を現さず隠れ続けている点、これらの矛盾。
Wow, Kyrie is starting to sound like Phoenix Wright with all of these contradictions.
これを念頭に置いた上でチェス盤をひっくり返すの。つまり19人目の人物としてベアトリーチェがいると印象づけたい人物の目論見は何かよ。
姿を隠したい人物ならその存在をアピールするわけがない。そして姿を現したい人物なら手紙を託すなんて遠回しをするわけがない。ってことは
簡単よ。ベアトリーチェは18人の中にいるのよ。だからこそ18人以外の人物が存在するような幻想を作り出しているのよ。これ見よがしな19人目のアピール。それで得をするのは姿を潜めた19人目じゃない、すでにいる18人の方なのよ。もちろんこの推理は穴だらけ。いくつかの前提がひっくり返るだけですぐに崩れる脆いものだけど、私はほぼ間違いないと見てるわ。
Boy, is she gonna be surprised when Beatrice appears for real. This is starting to feel pretty creepy. Someone lent Maria the umbrella and handed her the letter. Supposedly, none of the 18 did this. And yet, Beatrice was hidden among those 18. What was this person planning, hiding their true form and pretending to be Beatrice?
マリアちゃんの自作自演も疑ったんだけど、文章の内容が非常に手が込んでて、マリアちゃんが自前で用意したとは考えがたい。でもマリアちゃんが何者かと共謀している可能性も否定できないわ。
Well, that doesn't seem like something Maria would do either.
おいおい、マリアは9歳のお子様だぜ。誰と何を共謀するってんだよな。しかも愚直で真面目で素直なあの性分だぜ。
I suppose if she was to work with anyone, it would probably be her mother.
ええ、私もマリアちゃんの性分はよく理解しているわ。でもだからこそありえると思うの。魔女に憧れその存在を盲信している夢見がちな少女。そこにベアトリーチェと名乗る人物が現れて魔女だと名乗ったら、彼女はそれを大喜びで鵜呑みにして信じるんじゃないかしら。
I suppose that's true.
つまりあの肖像画のごついドレスを着て変装すればマリアを騙すことは難しくないと。
その論法になっちゃうと私たち女性陣はみんな疑われちゃうことになるんだけどね。
No, I think it was Genji. He would make a beautiful woman.
とにかくマリアちゃんが何者に出会ったのか、それの詳細を聞くことがこの謎を解く一番にして最も身近な鍵なのよ。しかしその鍵は少女の心の奥に堅くなに閉ざされてしまったのよ。みんなが頭ごなしに魔女の存在を否定 体その人物は誰なのかと問い詰めすぎた。マリアちゃんは当分大人には心を開かないでしょうね。
So I guess they're gonna send the children to try and talk to her about it. In the dim hall, in front of the portrait of Beatrice, Maria was sobbing. Poor Maria.
とにかく鍵はマリアちゃんが握ってるわ。ベアトリーチェが18人の中にいるのか19人目なのか、それを知る鍵よね。
マリアは頑固だぜ。あいつへそを曲げるとなかなか機嫌を直さないからな。
大人の私より子供のバトラ君の方が機嫌を直せる確率は高そうよ。彼女の機嫌が直ったら聞いてみて。遺産分配がどうのこうのって話には関心ないけど、こんな王道洋館ミステリーみたいなシチュエーションにはワクワクしちゃわない？マリアちゃんに手紙を渡した人物は一体誰なのか。知的好奇心がうずくわ。
うんざりするような金の話に付き合わされてもワクワクとは実にタフなことだぜ。大人はすげえや。
I shrugged exasperatedly. But I did notice something. Kirie noticed how dejected I was after overhearing our parents' turbulent discussion, and was probably trying to clear the air. At the very least, I'd recovered enough to voice my complaints. She wasn't my real mother, so I've never felt like calling her mum, but it did make me think she's a real adult.
おうガキども、ここにいたのか。キリエも長え化粧直しじゃねえか。俺も次からは化粧をしてくることにするぜ。
ごめんなさい。女の化粧は長いのよ。どう？兄弟水入らずの話し合いは。
さぞや和気あいあいとしてるだろうよ。
Kirie-san poked the weak spot under my arm with her elbow.
一度頭を冷やそうってことで小休止さ。こりゃ夜通しになりそうだぜ。泣けてくれ。
His way of talking hadn't changed, but he couldn't completely hide his fatigue. I couldn't say I was sympathetic, but he looked pitiful compared to his normal energetic self.
しかしひでえ雨だな。ゲストハウスに戻るのも嫌になるぜ。夏日姉さんが屋敷で泊まれるよう準備してくれたらしい。どうする？
Well, we'll stay in the mansion, obviously.
3階になった時に考えてもいいんじゃない？部屋に戻る体力もなくなってたら、その時はお世話になりましょうよ。
そうだね。その時に考えりゃいいか。バトラーはどうする？
俺がいちゃお邪魔だろうからよ。気使って向こうに戻るぜ。
Man, Battler, you're crazy.
そうか。すぐ戻るのか。
さあな。一人で戻ったって寂しいしよ。子供全員で揃って帰ることにするぜ。
そうだな。そうするといい。それでバトラー、お前今夜はそうは簡単には寝ないだろう。
多分いとこたちとおしゃべりしてるだろうからな。夜更かししそうな気配はあるぜ。それがどうかしたのかい？
そうか。もし大人たちの会議が終わってお前がまだ起きてたら、ちょいと家族でしたい話があるんだ。
なんだよ。柄にもねえな。
Apparently, Kirie-san was thinking the same thing. What are you talking about? She asked him in a small voice. It looked like Kirie-san didn't have a clue what Dad meant either.
キリエにも聞いてもらいたい話で後で話すから今は聞くな頼む
I don't know anyone who neglects the concept of family as much as this old bastard. And now he's saying we're going to have a talk as a family. Both Kirie-san and I couldn't help but get wide-eyed.
そうビビった顔すんなよビビりてえのは俺の方なんだ何しろ
At that point, he swallowed his words for an instant. Even though putting on airs of importance wasn't much like my dad.
気持ち悪いぜ親父。今家族は全員揃ってるじゃねえかよ。もったいぶらずに言えよ。
俺は多分今夜殺されるだろう
Oh, that's a big deal. There was a huge crash of thunder. It must have been really close. Dad's expression, brightly illuminated by the lightning, was burned into my eyes. Dad's face, which always looked so sure of itself and which always wore a taunting expression, was strangely frail in a way I couldn't really explain. It was so worn out that he looked like a different person.
は何言ってんだよガラでもね
同感よ
I don't know, it sounds like he's pretty serious to me.
どうしたの急に弱気ねあなたらしくもない
俺も化粧直しに行ってくるついてくんなよ
Dad turned away weakly. After that, only Kirie and I were left, still wide-eyed.
なんだってんだ今夜殺されるまさかあの妙な手紙のせいで親父ビビっちまったのか連続殺人者の映画の見過ぎだぜ
Kirie-san didn't answer my light-hearted words and continued to stare at my dad's disappearing back.
バトラ君はルドルフさんに今話せと言ったら話さず立ち去ったみんなに話すことがあると言い出しながら答えなかったどうしてチェス盤をひっくり返すすると
話すと言っておきながら話せない矛盾なんすかね親父側から見ると何か見えてきますか
ええ見えるわよ話したいことがあるでも自分から言い出す勇気がないだから追ってきて俺に話しかけて聞き出してくれが正解ねついてくるなも逆の意味よついてきて俺を問い詰めてくれが正解まったく甘えん坊さんなんだから
いやそういう推理でいいんすかそんなんめちゃくちゃな
名探偵や名刑事が男女の気持ちや心を推理できるできないでしょ異性の気持ちを探るのは何次元のトリックを暴くよりはるかに高度な技術なのよ私に言わせれば名作推理小説より恋愛小説の方がよっぽど難解なミステリーなんだから
はあそういうもんすかね
私はあの甘えん坊さんと一緒にいるわ普段は虚勢を張ってるけど今夜はかなりの激論で疲れ切ってる誰かに寄りかかりたい気持ちなんでしょうねそれに応えるのがパートナーの役目よ
はあそりゃあお熱いことでじゃあうちのクソ親父の世話をよろしく頼みますよ
ええ任せておいて
I called out to Kirie-san's departing back.
え何
いやありがとよっておかげで 陰鬱な気分がだいぶ晴れたぜ。
ならよかった。コミュニケーションは大事ね。
After answering with a wink, Kirie-san followed after Dad. Okay, well that was a bit crazy. So, does he actually think he might die tonight? Because I'm super interested now in what's happening. Gosh, that was a really kind of sinister thing to end the episode with. But I hope you guys have enjoyed and are also excited to find out more. If you have enjoyed, then don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more. And until next time, guys, goodbye.